Well, I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into. But between now and then, some great guests, important information coming your way. We'll tell you about some special scholarships for great kids. We'll talk about a big event coming up at Old Salem, and we'll talk about the agribusiness technology, some programs and courses offered by one of our fine community colleges, all that and much more. But let's start out talking about something that's sort of seasonal right now, swimming. Everybody seems to be doing it, especially kids jumping into oceans and ponds and pools. But what's really important is swim safety. And we have three gentlemen with us right now that are going to help us through that topic. On my immediate right, our good friend, David Daggett, attorney with Daggett Schuler. David and his partner, Griff, have brought along a special guest. Nathan Durrell is Executive Director of Aquatics for the YMCA of Northwest North Carolina. And as I said, Griff Schuler here along with the guys from Daggett Schuler. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Lori Bates, our director. I'm just going to give a production note. I'm going to skip over David and Griff for just a second and go right to Nathan. I have a couple questions, and they're serious questions, not to be a downer, but
Nathan's the expert.
I know, Nathan knows this. But as much fun as we have in the pool and everything with our kids, I'm concerned, and David sent me an email about this. What should parents know about the dangers of drowning? And if you're a parent and you are sort of watching your kid, what do you look for? What's going on when something like this happens?
Right. Well, one of the scariest things about drowning in general is that it's both silent and it can happen very quickly. So anytime you're with kids, whether it's in a body of water as small as a tub or anything larger, a pool or even a lake or ocean where you're talking about dark water, the key is to keep an eye on them, make sure you know what they're doing, where they are, what they're involved in, because the trouble, the scary stuff can happen within just a matter of a few seconds. And if you're in water that you can't see through, it can be even quicker than that, and you can't even locate them.
One of the fallacies out there is drowning looks like somebody wailing and yelling and screaming. Drowning is very, very silent and happens very quickly.
That's right.
So you turn your back with a young one and bang.
And you said, because I know that you were complimenting Nathan a minute ago about him being the expert, and he is, but you sort of did, you should know, people, I want to brag on you for a second, because you've written an ebook, I think, on swim safety.
Yes, it's a very short ebook. It's free download on Amazon. We'll put a link up on our website so people can get to it.
What kind of stuff's in it?
Well, it's some short, very specific tips for parents. First of all, the statistics are astounding. For 4 years old and younger, drowning is the second leading cause of death behind birth injuries and defects.
I didn't know that.
For children 5 to 15, it's the number 2 cause of death behind automobile accidents.
Good grief.
So it's ahead of everything else. It's a much more serious problem than most people realize. And then to sum up what's in the book, it's prevention and pay attention. Those two things, prevention and pay attention.
And we're going to put up a website in just a little bit so that people can go through your website to get over to Amazon to get that. I just think it's great what you did with that. Nathan, I know I'm going to ask you in a second about some classes and things that you're doing, but I want to go over to Griff, because as I get ready to talk to Nathan about swim safety classes or swim instruction, Griff, I mean, you and I kid a lot. You're a pretty good athlete, and you're a parent. So what do you say to parents that say, well, I'm going to send Susie on to take some swim instruction. I'm going to send Johnny on to do swim safety. The parents should really do some things too, right?
Sure, absolutely. It's interesting, 71% of our world is water. So, water is all around us, and it's incumbent upon us as parents to try to get lessons for our kids. And a lot of parents are embarrassed because maybe they got through their childhood without getting lessons.
Without it, yeah.
And they don't swim themselves. So maybe you think you're doing the right thing, which you are, by sending them for swim lessons at the Y or things like that. But many parents don't realize, many adults don't want to admit that they don't know how to swim, and they need to do that as well.
All right, very quickly, we're running out of time. Nathan, how often do you offer swim instruction, swim safety things at the Y?
Yeah, almost every YMCA in this area offers some kind of swim lessons. We have outreach lessons that are available to anyone in the community free of charge. We have group lessons that you can pay for, and again, there is scholarshiping available, because it's very important to us that anybody has access to come in and get those
I just
skills.
think that's great.
They do a terrific job. I think the YMCA is the largest network of swim instruction there is
the country.
on
That's
Earth.
right.
That's
Getting,
what- yeah,
getting the kids the opportunity to be around the water and not be fearful of the water at an early age
Absolutely.
is vital.
Absolutely. We're running a little long on this, but I want to put up on screen ymcanwnc.org and also the Daggett Shure website we told you about, daggettshurelaw.com. You can call 724-1234 if you need some help from these guys as well, but also you can go through that website to get the ebook. I just appreciate what all three of you are doing to promote this through the ebook, through instruction, through being an advocate and a parent and somebody to prevent injuries, Griff. I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Jim.
And I learned to swim at the Y too 100 years ago before any of these guys were born. We'll be right back after this. Right now on Triad Today, you know, North Carolina is known not just around the nation, but around the world for being a leader in crop production. We just do a great job making all sorts of products and growing things. But part of the thing is it's one thing to have these great crops, but you have to know how to get them to market, and you have to know how to get them to consumers. And we have someone who's going to help us through a topic that's going to mean something to all this and help us with that situation and economic development and everything. Next to me is the lovely Suzanne Rohrbaugh. She's Vice President for Instructional Services at Randolph Community College, and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Was all that rambling that I did, was that even halfway accurate?
Yes, absolutely.
Now you have something, you emailed me about something called an agribusiness technology program that's starting this fall. I want to know what that means and what it's all about.
Great. Well, you mentioned something about the statistics for North Carolina, but Randolph County actually is the leading beef producer, second in dairy production, I believe sixth in North Carolina for hay and egg production.
I didn't realize that.
And one of the things we do each year is we identify areas of focus, and we bring business industry, economic development, our educational partners, K-12, to identify gaps in training and our workforce needs.
Yeah.
And one of the things we discovered is while we have such a strong agriculture basis, we had no training for that.
Wow.
One thing that we heard from farmers was that, well, farmers know how to farm, but they don't know how to run a business.
Right.
So that's the preface behind what we're trying to do with agribusiness.
Well, now what kind of classes, and you don't have to list everything, but just give me an idea, what kind of classes can students expect if they enroll in this agribusiness technology program this fall? What are they going to look at?
Well, interestingly, it's what I would consider really a combination hybrid degree. While it's got a real strong business focus, there is a real focus on the agricultural perspective of that. Students really are prepared with an entrepreneurial and a managerial technical skills necessary to really run a profitable community-based farm or some type of agricultural business. For example, they might take an accounting class, a business class,
Okay.
but they'll also have agricultural economics, agricultural maintenance, agricultural law and ethics. So you can see it's really a combination where they learn the agricultural foundation of a business.
Well, absolutely. Now, I also understand, or somebody told me that you were partnering with NC State University on something. What is that about?
We are really excited about that opportunity for our students. Not only could they come to RCC, but they have a couple of options. They could actually come to RCC for 1 year and do the first year program of study and then transfer to NC State after that, articulating every one of their courses
Wow.
to NC State. And then we would transfer some of their NC State courses back to earn the associate degree while they're earning their bachelor's degree.
NC State known for decades and decades for their expertise in this area, and I think it's going to be a great partnership.
We do too.
Yeah, especially with what's going on in Randolph. Up on screen, I want to share this before time runs out. If to check out things that are going on at Randolph Community College, and you can learn about the agribusiness program going through this website as well. It's randolph.edu. So again, for the radio listening audience too, it's randolph.edu, and you can search agribusiness once you get in there. You can also call, and correct me if I'm wrong, Suzanne, 336-633-0200. I think is a general number that you can call for that.
Yes.
I just appreciate what you're doing on this, and I think it's fascinating, and I think it's going to make a big difference in trying to get some people employed and into careers they want to do.
Thank you. We believe that too.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Right now on Triad Today, always glad when we can have someone visit us from Crossner School and Children's Home because even though they won't brag on themselves, I brag on them because they just do a great job in helping kids in difficult situations, and I just think so much of them. And here's one of the members of that team sitting next to me right now. Brandon Cathy is an advancement officer with Cross North School and Children's Home. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Before we get into the topic I want to ask you about, which has to do with a scholarship, remind us very briefly of what Cross North's mission is and who you serve.
So the mission of Cross North School and Children's Home is that we grow healthy futures for children and families by providing a Christian sanctuary of hope and healing.
Now, there was an email that Holly sent me about something called Promise Scholarship. I got that right?
Yes,
right?
sir.
I want you to educate me about Promise Scholarship. What is it? How does it work? Who is it for, and how is it going to unfold? Because I hadn't heard anything about it until just recently.
So it's Cross North Promise Scholarship Program is a brand new program that we've recently launched. These are dollars that will go to support our promise to deliver state-of-the-art services for children who need them in our area. So these dollars support make up the difference in cost. Some from government reimbursements that we may receive for some of our services, that these dollars will help kind of support and make sure that we're paying for
Right,
all
because I guess it's sort of a common myth when people think, well, gosh, you're doing such fine work there at Cross North. They're helping kids who maybe don't have parents, and they've come from hardship cases. And I guess the government just sends you all the money you need, and you don't need any private support. But that obviously you do need private support.
Absolutely. So most of the dollars that we receive from the government or government-supported dollars are covered a bare minimum standard of care. So none of us really go into a day thinking, how little can we do for our children to get by? We certainly don't at Cross North School and Children's Home. So what we're looking to do is cover the dollars between what those government dollars may provide and what the actual cost of caring for children is.
All right, now tell me about how viewers and listeners of this program can support the Cross North Promise. I mean, how will they be able to make donations?
Making donations is kind of the easy part. You can write a check, mail it to one of our campuses, or to drop it by campus. We love to have folks visit. You can make a secure online donation on our website,
Okay.
Cross North.
Credit card or something like that?
Yes, sir. .org. Yeah, is the website there to go make those payments. But there's a variety of ways. We have estate gifts.
Yeah, you said estate gifts. There was something in an email about that. So if I have land or a house or property or whatever that I want to leave, I can put that in a will, or I can set that up in a trust or something. Or
Absolutely. Our estate giving, basically all of those dollars go to support the long-term health of our organization. So we've been supported for a very long time by very generous folks from all over our state.
Speaking of generous folks, now some people will give and they don't want to be recognized, and that's fine, and it's anonymous. But there will be people and companies that maybe it should be a nice thing to recognize them. How do you support and recognize companies that are helping support the promise?
So depends on how they're giving a lot of times. So if you're a monthly giver, we have a new program called Circle of Friends. So these are our monthly givers who give us monthly dollars to support our mission. We also have a Hope Society, which is an annual giving program for folks who have given $1,000 or more during our fiscal year. So they're a member of that society. We also have a society that honors our estate givers. We also have a society that honors folks who have given $100,000 or more during their lifetime of giving.
Wow.
So we're getting ready. We're in the planning processes for a big event, a big thank you event for those groups, and it's the first time we've done that in quite some time.
That'll be
and
great.
We're really excited about it.
And you'll keep me posted on when that's going to be.
Absolutely.
You and Holly will keep me posted on that. Up on screen for more information, crossnor.org, crossnor.org. We have about 20 seconds left. I'm going to put you on the spot. What kind of gratification do you get out of doing your job?
It was something that was very unexpected. When I started working at Cross North, was having that experience of leaving work every day and feeling like you've done just a little bit of something to make someone's life better. I was not anticipating having that feeling, but the days that you do, it is overwhelming and humbling, and it's very special.
Well, you just do a great job. All the folks out at Cross North just do a great job, and the money that can be donated to this scholarship it couldn't be better spent. So, Brandon, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today. I'm excited because I grew up in this area and loved to go to Old Salem, and now we have two lovely guests who work at Old Salem, and they're going to tell you about a big special event coming up, but let's meet them first. On my immediate right is Martha Hartley. She's Director of Moravian Research at Old Salem. Next to Martha is Sheila Harrell-Roy, Assistant Director of Visitor Engagement at Old Salem. Welcome, ladies. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
It's nice to be here.
Sheila, let me start with you. I'm going to go down and skip over Martha for just a second. I understand you have a landscape conference that's coming up, and when people are sitting there saying, wait a minute, Jim, you don't know anything about landscape. And no, I'm not going to go to Old Salem and plant a tree. That's not what this is about. I want to know, what's the theme of this particular conference, and when will it take place?
Well, the conference will take place September 26th, and it will go through September 28th. It will focus on race, culture, and landscape. It will give us a broad view of the narratives related to American South with a richer perspective. So,
Race, culture, and landscape. Now, will this go back into history a lot?
it will go into history somewhat, but this conference is different in a way that we're going to provide a broader net for our community at large and give them several options to participate in, so they will actually feel like they're a part of the conference by offering tour options, and some storytelling will also be involved with our participants that will be there.
Martha, how is this different from some of the other events that you put on?
Well, the Landscape Conference dates back to 1979. It's been a biennial conference every other year. And there's always a particular theme. And we've addressed African American gardens and landscapes in the past, but this is the first conference specifically devoted to that topic completely. And so we're very excited to be focusing on the landscape of people of African descent in the American South.
Now, you don't have to mention the whole spate of speakers, but you want to mention a couple of the major speakers and maybe what things they're going to cover?
Yes, and certainly, and I'd also like to say that Old Salem is co-sponsoring this with Wake Forest University's Department of History.
Wow, okay.
And the Southern Garden Historical History Society. And we're very excited to bring scholars from across the country, many in the South, and they include archaeologists, architectural historians, art historians. We have a woman who is the grandchild of Anne Spencer, who was a Harlem Renaissance poet who created a beautiful garden at her home in Lynchburg, Virginia.
So you really give us a lot of perspective there.
That's right.
Sheila, who's the intended audience? Who should be excited about coming to this?
Well, each and every one. This conference is going to be diverse in this way because of the various offers that we have in the sessions. We want the community to know at large that we understand that today conference attendees want to not only be engaged, but they want to be empowered to take an active role in the sessions that they choose to participate in. So we think it'll be a very dynamic 3 days.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
I want to do something, but usually we wait until the end of the segment to do this, but I want to make sure we don't run out of time here. Up on screen, Landscape, Race, and Culture, Shaping a World of Color in the American South. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Thursday, September 26th through Saturday, September 28th. This will be at the Old Salem Visitor Center. The main website can get you to the place you need to go to get more information. That is oldsalem.org. I'll say it again for the radio listening audience at WSJS, www.oldsalem.org. And also, I want to do a shout out while we're putting things up on screen to our good friends at Visit Winston-Salem, to Rich and Marqueta and the group who suggested this great topic to cover it. And their website is visitwinstonsalem.com. That's visitwinstonsalem.com. Martha, sum up for us why this program is so important.
Well, our keynote speaker is Kofi Boone. He's the professor of landscape architecture at NC State School of Design, and his keynote address is Black Landscapes Matter. And so I think that really sums up the content and the reason to have this, because most and many landscapes of people of African descent do not exist. They're archaeological, or we don't know they're there. So this is a way to bring and reveal this to the public and to all of us.
And I would think not only just for old, decrepit old white guys like me that grew up in Winston-Salem, but I would think young black youth would want to come and get a sense of what this is all about, too, right?
And the keynote is open to the public, so you don't have to register for the whole conference.
Any fee for it?
$10 registration.
To get in
With
for
the
all
reception.
the days.
With the
No,
reception.
$10 is for the keynote.
Okay.
And then the conference has its own registration because it's 3 days.
That's September 26th to the 28th. Please, folks, get ready and put that on your calendar. And Sheila and Martha, thanks for all you do.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Today, just about time for the roundtable, but pick up your copy of Yes Weekly if you can. They're free. They're all over the area. You can grab them. They're on the street. In fact, speaking of two guys I grabbed off the street, no, that's not true. On my right, but always the political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. And next to him is a gentleman who stayed over from his segment where he was doing fine work along with his partner Griff and and Mr. Durrell, who was talking about swim safety. Just an excellent segment, and we've held David over to help with the roundtable. We appreciate that. Now, we are missing Dave Plyler, who called in, and he had 2 flat tires. And so, Dave, we are thinking good thoughts about you. And I hate to tell you, but it was Ogie and David Daggett that slashed your tires.
You don't think he's dodging your tough questions, do you?
I think he may be dodging these questions. Guys, this may not upset you at all. It just rubbed me the wrong way, so I want to start with it. There's a man named Frank Kauder. He's the Assistant Director of Finance for Cone Health. He wrote an email letter to the State Treasurer, Dale Falwell, to complain about the state employee health plan. Okay, that's fine. But he also wrote it to the volunteers of the board, who include our friend Don Martin and others who just volunteer in their time. And instead of just criticizing the health plan, he got into name calling. And he said that he called them, quote, retardicans, unquote. He said, quote, they just want to put poor people, let them die in the streets, let poor people die in the streets. And he ended the email saying, and this is all his words, quote, burn in hell, you sorry SOBs. Guys, this is an assistant finance director for a major hospital. Should Cone fire this guy for disseminating hate speech, Ogie?
I have to admit, Jim, I don't know the specifics of the plan proposed by Falwell. I'm not crazy about that guy, so immediately I thought, well, the guy's probably justified. I mean, to go that ballistic, something is clearly going to be wrong, but then I thought, well, that's kind of over the line. Even retardicans is just troglodytes. Yeah, fine.
And Cone Hospital, David, claims they haven't done anything to him, at least on record, because they say, well, it's his personal opinion, but he identified himself.
Sure. Here's the way I analyze this situation, is we have a fundamental breakdown in decency and respect in our political discourse. It's a fundamental breakdown. And this is an example of it. You have 2 sides at odds over a health care issue. Obviously, something had to provoke that beforehand. I followed it in the newspaper, but I didn't see what provoked it. This is the response, but that's what we're seeing at the highest level of our politics. I call it trickle-down acrimony.
Yeah.
That when you have that behavior at the highest level, everybody else thinks they can behave that way, including kindergartners on the playground.
Absolutely.
And we should expect better out of our politicians, out of our business leaders, and between you and me, even when we disagree on the issues.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, now switching topics, sort of. The North Carolina Senate wants to pass a bill that would allow Duke Energy to set multi-year rates and increases without having to be reviewed every year by the State Utilities Commission. Quickly, guys, is that a good idea or a bad idea, Ogie?
No, I think Duke needs to keep an eye on Duke, a very close eye. Don't give them any leeway whatsoever. We're all going to have coal ash in our backyard.
David Daggett.
I agree, but for different reasons. When you have public utilities that are basically a monopoly, you need to keep pace on what's going on
With a yearly review.
and check it, and a yearly review.
Let's move to politics. This is a strange one. A Mississippi gubernatorial candidate has refused to let a female reporter inside of his campaign bus for a private interview because he said it might give off a false impression. Plus, he also, the candidate says, he took a vow with his wife that neither of them would be alone with someone of the opposite sex, sort of like Mike Pence and his wife. Okay, guys, is this man just being properly cautious in the Me Too era, or is he a sexist, or is he a nut? Ogie.
Jim, this guy's got nut job written all over him. What he's saying, that's code for this woman is not qualified to be a reporter to ask me questions
Because she's
as
a
a
woman.
legitimate journalist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's sort of sexist. Sort of,
Exactly.
David.
So you've been in the studio all day. You haven't seen the recent news. Another one came out and did the same thing today.
Really? Another candidate?
Another candidate. And they both, I think the highest form of reason is doing the right thing for the wrong reason. And whether you agree or disagree with what he's doing, both candidates say it's because of vows to their wife and because of their religious beliefs.
Right.
Well, if it's because of their vows to their wives, then they're the ones that's the problem, not the
Not the-
not the
that's right.
reporter.
All right, guys.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Very quickly, I want to mention this about the Dixie Classic Fair. Once again, it's in the news because now a committee says, after all this wrangling, the committee says, you know, we might have to hire an outside consultant to help us come up with a name for the Dixie Classic Fair. Guys, very quickly, we're running out of time. Should taxpayers spend money on a consultant to decide the fate of a local fair? Quickly, Ogie.
No, I don't think so. This is drug on way too long. It's just, to me, it's almost overblown. And you know where I stand on this issue anyway,
Right,
Jim.
right.
But to me, it's a little bit overblown already.
David
Yeah,
Daggett.
I think, again, if we get back to decency and respect, we get people in the room, we talk through the issues, we ought to be able to do that ourselves on a local basis,
Take care of it.
regardless of what the decision is.
All right, finally, guys, the latest thing in housing are pod shares. This is starting out on the West Coast, where you share a small pod with other people, and for
Ogie!
for $1,200 a month, you get to sleep in a bunk bed with other guys in a pod. Guys, would you pay $1,200 a month to sleep in a pod bunk bed? Ogie?
Other guys?
Yes.
There's no add-ons. There's not
No,
any.
no, you can't have any female
no
visitors.
value-added
No,
benefits.
you can't have any female
That's
visitors.
crazy. That's
David
nuts.
Daggett, would you?
Well, if I got to, spend a little time with you and Ogie,
You would stay in a pod with us.
Actually, I'm not sure I'd pay, but I'd sleep
Man.
in the pod.
There they are, two peas in a pod. All right, that's all the time we have, and our thoughts go out to Dave Plyler. I hope everything's okay with the flat tires. Except for this. Earlier this month, the town of Everett, Washington told the owner of a local coffee shop that his waitresses could no longer wear bikinis while serving customers. If you ask me, it's just another case of a government cover-up. Just kind of true in a way, isn't it?
True.
All right, guys, for all of us here on Triad Today, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.